everybody, so right now today we're going to be talking about tank items, the new tank items, which I think are good, which I think are bad. Okay, now we're not going to be talking about every tank item, but we're going to be talking primarily about the ones that are new or been changed significantly. We're also going to go over what the best build now is for Kosante. Okay, so as in my previous video, which did well, so I decided to make this one. I just have some clips from my stream to kind of show you stuff. I did blur the chat over there because it did occur to me that I had not actually like proofread through them, and I don't think anything bad was said in the last video, and I don't think anything was said bad in this video, but you know, I'm kind of doing like a better safe than sorry, you know, because I'm not proofreading it. You know, I have ADHD. I would never be able to read through chat. I'd never be able to sit here for like the 15 or 10 minutes for this video just looking at that chat, making sure nothing bad is said. Okay, so anyway, let's talk about the new tank items. Up first, we have Hollow Radiance and Sunfire. And if you want to know the Kosante build, I'll go into that at the end. You know, kind of generally what I think are the best builds for Kosante. I think the only good the only good tanks right now are Ornn and Kosante, and there is an Ornn player much better than me, so I would probably go watch him to get build advice for Ornn. But at least for Kosante, I'll go over that. So anyway, Hollow Radiance and Sunfire. Sunfire got nerfed going into this season, and Hollow Radiance is new. Hollow Radiance comes out to 600 HP, 40 MR, and gives a weaker damage aura effect than Sunfire does, right? I think by like 4 or 5 damage. Hollow Radiance seems to be doing okay. Not great, but it seems to be doing okay. Now, it's very situational, of course. Don't build Hollow Radiance like, oh, I'm fighting like one mage on their team, time to Hollow Radiance, right? Like, don't do that. But if you're fighting like Elise jungle and Kennen top, yes, Hollow Radiance first item, very good. The 600 HP and the 40 magic resist means you basically can't be burst. The build components help you stay alive in lane. Now, some people have asked about like when you kill something, Hollow Radiance does like a small AoE around it. That's very negligible, very small, very avoidable, very not even a big deal. Later in the game, it was only doing like 60 damage. So if I killed someone in the middle of 3 casters and all 3 casters blew up on them, we're talking about 180 magic damage, right? Less than Jax's W bonus magic damage. Very small amount, okay? So don't really consider that to be some big deal. Hollow Radiance is basically just a giga stat stick of health and a little bit of magic resist that also gives you the wave clear to get through the landing phase. I think about Ornn and Kosante, it's there. You're not core iteming this, okay? Because as a core item, it's not very good. As a counter item, it's okay. As your Sunfire is nerfed. I'm gonna have to be blunt with this one. I think Sunfire is a bit too weak to really core item. As a second item, it does seem to come in okay on certain champions. Especially those who kind of need wave clear or pushing power or stuff like that. It's not bad. It's just not like that amazing. If you don't go Sunfire by like your second item on every champion, you don't go Sunfire third, right? By third, it's too late. You've got better options. But as a wave pushing item, maybe it's still okay. Heartsteel is dead. Heartsteel completely lost all its ability haste. They gave it 100 health as like a compensation and a hotfix. I think it's dead. I think Heartsteel is so dead, in fact, that every champion that needed Heartsteel is dead too, because it's dead. Heartsteel is terrible. I think it is legitimately a bad item right now. It is a complete trap. Never build Heartsteel on basically any champion. It is awful. If your champion needs Heartsteel to be viable, then you are not viable. Okay? Again, I think only Ornn and Kosante are good right now. Jackshow. Now, Jackshow, let me explain Jackshow. Gives 300 health, 50 armor, 50 magic resist. Yes, I'm doing this off the top of my head because I've done a few takes for this video and I kind of remember it now. After 5 seconds of combat with opposing champions, you get 30% bonus armor and 30% bonus magic resist as an addition. Now that's bonus. That's not your base, okay? So unless you've built a lot of armor and magic resist, Jackshow's not going to do that much. But if you have built a lot of armor and magic resist, Jackshow will do a lot. So on tanks, it will do a lot. Going into this, I think tanks have gone from spiking at 1 item to spiking at like 3 items. Tanks, particularly around 3 items, tend to be extremely deadly, particularly because if Jackshow procs up, their Thorn Mills can start hitting for very high numbers, 80 to like 100 magic damage in return. That's getting some pretty high numbers there. Okay, so Jackshow, because it gives the armor and the magic resist, very powerful item. Particularly on Kosante, like second or third must go. Ornn must go. Basically, every tank has to get Jackshow. Okay, I'm just gonna be blunt. Basically, every tank has to get Jackshow. Unending Despair, weak. Very, very not strong. I don't think Unending Despair is like unusable. I just don't think it should be like a default purchase, so to speak. Okay. Now Unending Despair gives the same stat line as Omen, but it also gives 10 ability haste. So it gives 400 health, 55 armor, and 10 ability haste. Those stats are a little bit not great. So it's going to need a very powerful effect to make up for it. Now, is its effect as like good as, say, Sunfire? Because Sunfire gives you all the wave clear and gives you some early game dueling power, right? Does Unending Despair do something good? Well, no. Every 7 seconds around you, it ticks and you heal for the magic damage that it deals, right? Well, it healed 250% of the magic damage it deals, okay? Which seems like it could be good, right? Oh my god, it is healing on tanks. That's incredible. No. The AoE on it is quite low. It doesn't really hit that far around you. In addition, the damage it deals is quite low. So healing for 250% tends to actually... You're healing for like 250% of 50, okay? Very low numbers. It's one of the only items that tracks how much it like actually does right now. Items seem to not actually be tracking how much they do. Unending Spare does. And often its healing in a fight will come out to like 100. In a big team fight where you were like, oh my god, I was in the middle of them. It heals for like 500. We're talking very, very low healing, very low effects. It's not really that good. Is it unusable? No, I don't think it's literally unusable. I just don't think it's very good. I think there's very little situation where it's not better to just go with a different item, be it Thornmail or be it Omen. Specifically, you know, Omen has the same stat line as well. So I'll get into Omen in a second. Well, actually, screw it. Let's get into Omen now, then, I guess. Omen is the same stat line as Unending Spare, but it also has 30% crit damage reduction, but it also has less damage per auto attack, but it also has an AoE 55% slow. So the question is, would you rather heal like 100 to 500 throughout a fight, or would you rather have all the things I just mentioned? You would probably have all the things I just mentioned. Let's do a caveat, though. With Omen, I have looked at my post damage recap a lot, and even on tanks, 80 carries will frequently only do, even crit 80 carries, even like Xayah was only doing a third of her damage from auto attacks. So even Xayah, who's a big crit damaging 80 carry, was not really auto attacking me that much. So that crit damage reduction was not doing that much. Omen's crit damage reduction seems to only really be useful against champions like maybe Draven or Tristana, maybe Samira. It's good it's good against Samira, right? But can you build it against Kai'Sa? Not really. Can you build it against Ezreal? No, of course not. Like it's a very specific item for a specific niche in that regard, right? On the other hand, though, if you are fighting a crit 80 carry, then yeah, I mean, the AoE slow is quite good. The damage reduction on hit is quite good. The crit damage reduction is... So Omen seems to be doing okay. As a counter buy on your like 4th or 5th item, it does seem to be pretty decent. But yeah, that's basically it. It's basically like a counter purchase 4th or 5th. It's not... It does okay in that regard, but I'll be blunt. I was looking around at its stats, and the problem is... There's rarely a situation where building Omen will actually be better than building a different item. Because remember, you're not like choosing to build Omen or literally build nothing. You're choosing to build Omen or to build Jackshow or to build Thornmail or to build Unending Despair or to build Kaenic Rookern, right? So there's also Anathema's Chains, right? So does Omen outperform those items? Pretty much no, actually. Pretty much across the board, it does not. Iceborn Gauntlet. Iceborn Gauntlet did get a new stat line. I need to explain everything about Iceborn Gauntlet because it did get some pretty big nerfs that I need to go into. Okay, so the health went from 400 to 300. The armor is at 50. The ability haste is at 15. Less health, less ability haste. Now, the Spellblade effect does slow. It does create that slowing ring, right? But it slows for less, and it no longer doubles its slow against a target that you hit, and it no longer reduces the damage of the target you hit, and it no longer slows the target that you hit. So if they walk out of the slow field, they just get immediately unslowed. Is it still good on Kosante? Basically nobody else though. From what I've seen, very rarely is it good on anyone else. It does okay on some champions, but it did get nerfed pretty hard. It's core on Kosante still, but yeah, that's about it. Now, the reason for that is because Kosante needs to slow into his Q3s, which is kind of important to do, right? Its cost did go down to 2,600, so it's a very cost-efficient item, okay? And other than that, that's all I have to say about Iceborn Gauntlet. It's a cost-efficient item, I guess, but it doesn't really do that much. Frozen Heart. Okay, Frozen Heart is down to 2,300 gold. Why did they make it that cheap? I do not know. It is extremely cheap. It is extremely cost-efficient, and it is being built a lot. Is it good? I don't know. The problem with Frozen Heart is I feel like it's too cheap. So you often have an item slot in Frozen Heart. It seems like it was made for support tanks, actually. It seems like it was made for champions like Blitzcrank to run up to the opposing AD carry and just go to screw them over. For the actual tanks, it does not seem to be doing that good. Let me put this in a different way. For most tanks, like Ornn, for example, like Kosante, the two good tanks, Frozen Heart is not really doing that amazing. Last item, it seems to do decent as like a counter build, but you know, part of the problem is just, do I want Frozen Heart or do I want a different item? Jackshow most of the time is going to outperform Frozen Heart on your second buy. You know, more expensive items that do more specific things will end up being better. Now, if you have to split push against a Jax or an Aurelia, will it do good? Sure, probably. But even then, you know, couldn't you just go Thornmail? And especially with Jackshow giving you 30% bonus armor, that Thornmail on Ornn might be hitting 100 plus damage, right? So like, dang, would it be better to go Frozen Heart or go Thornmail and just beat the crap out of him? Okay, so that's all I have to say about Frozen Heart. Now, as for Kosante, let's go over his build here real quick, okay? Kosante's build, before I end this video, as for what I've seen, first item, you are going Hollow Radiance if you're fighting mages, or in basically every other situation, Iceborn Gauntlet, because it's just so core on him. After that, you're going Sunfire or Jackshow, once again, depending on what you need. If you don't go Sunfire second, then you're going to ditch it and you're not going to build it. Koenig Rukern, is that good on Ornn? Is that good on Kosante? The problem with Koenig Rukern, from what I've seen, is that on pure tanks, now look, if you're fighting like a Xerath or something like that, Koenig Rukern could be good, because then you can, you know, not get poked out before fights, right? But the thing is, 20% of your health is not really as amazing as you think it is, okay? Because if you're playing a tank, it's often better to just build items that actually buff you up rather than just give you a shield that won't refresh, because it never comes back over a fight, right? Like, it'll never come back, okay? So, if you're playing Kosante, first item Iceborn Gauntlet, second item Sunfire or Jackshow, you must go Jackshow third. If you don't, you're trolling your team to death. Okay, after that, you got your Thornmail, that's pretty good. You've got Koenig Rukern. Now, Koenig Rukern is actually good on Kosante because he tends to dive in. And when you dive in, that magic shield, because remember, that magic shield persists through his ultimate. So particularly if you're diving like a mage or something, that Koenig Rukern, you know, you're down to 65% of your health plus 20% of your health. That's 85% of your health. So actually, if you're diving a mage as Kosante, even if you dive into your ultimate, you practically still have full health, which is weird to say. I mean, it's not entirely true. You know, it's a little bit exaggeratory. It's a little bit hyperbolic, but you know. So at any rate, yeah. That's kind of my thoughts on all the different tank items. What do I think needs to happen? Personal opinion, Unending Spare needs a buff. Omen needs a buff. Heartsteel desperately needs some ability haste back, like at least 10, right? It's ridiculous. Jackshow's pretty good. Definitely pretty good. Probably should be nerfed on ranged champions. That'll hurt Urgot, but maybe Urgot should discount his melee. That's about it. That's about all my thoughts on tank items. Overall, are they too strong? No. Are they too weak? Actually, yeah, a little bit. I think tank items did not come out as amazing as people memed that they were going to be. So that's my thoughts on the new tank items. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. Hope you enjoyed watching whatever I ended up showing on screen. So thank you all for being here. If you like these videos and you want to support them, consider subscribing to Hashinshin's Patreon. Hashinshin's Patreon, it makes me want to do more of these videos because, you know, I have to like edit footage, and then I need to, you know, like record this at the end of each day. And I streamed like 12, 13, 14 hours. And now here I am, like, you know, I'm like, oh, I want to go sleep. But, you know, and then instead I'm doing this video for you guys because you guys wanted this video. So thank you all for being here. I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Goodbye, everybody.